All right, thank you so much for staying behind to watch To The Point. Tonight we're having a very interesting conversation. Last week we talked about internal displacement, but this week we want to talk about how as Kenyans we are handling this flood crisis response, or not necessarily that just floods, but how are we responding to crisis. And like I'd mentioned, our guests are already in studio. Right just next to me, we have Victor Emelek. Victor is a flood victim. We have Zileka Kanaiza. Zuneka is also a flood victim. We have Philip Mahuha. I hope I'm not butchering your name. I understand I butchered it when we were starting. Philip Mahuha, you'll correct me. Philip is also a flood victim. And we have Lucy Murumbi. Lucy is a commissioner, disaster operations at the St. John's Ambulance. Now, just to start us off, I want us to take a look at a couple of the government's response to responding to this floods crisis. You'll just be seeing that in a few news screens. But I understand that on April 25th, President William Ruto said Kenyans living in dangerous areas will be moved to the land provided by National Youth Service, that is the NYS, as the government plans on what to do. We also have, on May 3rd, 2024, President Ruto said the Treasury would provide adequate resources for the purchase and a supply of food, medical equipment, and other non-food items, especially in most affected areas like in Nairobi. We also have more than 37 counties. This is today, according to the government spokesperson, Isaac Mwaura. More than 37 counties have received more than 1.2 million kilograms of food. This program is being rolled out to transfer 10,000 Kenyan shillings to more than 40,000 households. This is data, again, from the government's spokesperson, Isaac Mwaura. Now, on to just my very first question from the that brief that I've given you right there. Lucy, how effective are these measures so far?
Thank you for having us this evening. What I must say is the mitigation that the government has done in terms of preparedness, especially moving the teams from where they're supposed to be and moving them away, is an ongoing process. What I know is it started. Most of the victims have received their financial support, but it's ongoing because in terms of tracing, where these members are actually displaced is where I think that is where issues are coming in, because some of them were in the camps and some of them were not. Meaning that there were some that were actually being housed by a friend, a relative. And I think that is a process whereby these ones are now coming in to support ensuring that everyone who has been displaced is actually getting the support. So far, some have gotten and some are yet to get. And that is now the process of where the tracing and actualizing and actually understanding who is it that is not in the camp. Yes.
Now, we are talking about 10,000 Kenyan shillings being given to these flood victims. Is this enough, really, from your perspective as now a disaster manager?
The initial start-off, that's what I could call it. It's like a starter pack. But what I'm understanding is that the housing right now, because of the scarcity of it, landlords have hiked the rent, so it's coming a bit higher.
Right.
What was maybe the rates were going at 3,000, now maybe has gone up by 1,000. The houses that are like corrugated sheets, those ones are no longer there in plenty. So in terms of the 10,000 is what I could call it's an initial pack whereby you'll actually just moving into the house. So whatever supplies that the government then is giving is actually supplementing that. Yes. So from the disaster point, it's just enough to start them off. Yeah.
Let's hear from them. Mahuha.
Yes.
Tell us, where were you before and where are you right now?
Before, I was living in a shack house. And then
tell our viewer, what do you mean by a shack house?
A shack house ni nyumba ya mabati. Yes. So that was before the disaster, the floods came in.
Where? Is it in Mathare?
Mathare, Gay ward. And then the floods came in and it swept away everything we had. And now the government are demolishing. But for me, 10,000 is not enough, really, because everything went away. You don't have a mattress, a bed, anything. You're given 10,000. The deposit is 4,000, rent 4,000. You're remaining with 2,000. That's deposit for electricity.
Have you received your 10,000? Can you
Yes, I've received, but it's not enough.
All right, Zileka, let's hear from you, from now a lady's perspective. What do you take of these 10,000 Kenyan shillings? Is it enough to sustain you?
To me, 10,000 is like just giving somebody breakfast, lunch and supper for just a week. Because even when you go shopping, things have hiked. Everything imepanda bei kabisa, beyond. Hakuna hata nini mboga kwa barabara. Apart from me peke yangu, watu wengi wanaumia. That 10,000 mi nimepata, okay. What about others? Which system did they use to help those wenye wameumia? Watu wengi sana wenye wameathirika, they have not got that 10,000. For me, will I buy, I have 2 kids. Will I buy them food or take them to school or look for a place to live? As per now, it's my friend who is sheltering me. How long will I live with a friend?
Right. Where were you previously before the floods took you out of your place?
Before the floods, I'm under a group called Pillar. They had sheltered me before. And that shelter was almost near the river. So when the floods came, they demolished everything. And my house, yes, it remained firm, but it was in between that 30 meters. So the government came in, demolished it too. What am I supposed to do?
We'll be coming back to that, to you, Lucy, because Zileka here has a lot of questions that I think maybe you can chip in to help us understand. Why is it being done? How is this 10,000 Kenyan shillings being rolled out? But before that, let's come to you, Victor. Tell us, is this are you receiving the 10,000 Kenyan shillings? Is it enough for you?
Wow. First of all, thank you for hosting me. I'm happy to be here. And personally, I have not received the 10,000 Kenya shillings, which actually, I don't support the 10,000 because I don't know the way they took data that showed them as the government or the ones dealing with the disaster, what brought them to give us 10,000, which personally I have not received, as something that will help us, because the needs that we have at the moment are different and they are heavy. I'm one person who was totally affected because I started fresh in life. Even the clothes that you're seeing me wearing, they are new ones from friends. So I started a new life after the floods. Then now we have something called government demolishing all houses around the river. So it's also another disaster immediately after the floods. So we have got challenges. One we are facing, starting afresh means you have to relocate. You have to get a house. I have got family, I have got 2 kids. So going to a new house, there's rent and there's deposit. Our land, our structure owners, they have taken an opportunity of increasing the rents. So you find the houses that we have, the stone houses within my area that we used to pay 3,000, they're now going for 4,000. So entering to that house is 8,000, 4 deposit, 4 rental. Then we have got the issue of electricity. In those places, they use token. You must pay, if you're a new tenant, 2,500. So even the 10,000 that you are given still is not enough to get a new house. Again, we're asking ourselves, now schools have opened. This 10,000, do I pay school fees for my children? Do I pay house rent? Do I go to purchase clothes? What about food? Then what about the utensils? Because the gas went, the sufurias, the household cooking items. So it's still a challenge. Then again, we have different people in our places. Some, they do works which is not or she's not permanently employed. You'll walk out in the morning and you just walk by the grace of God.
Kibarua.
Then yes, you come with 500 or 700 in the evening. That is what you eat. So with all these disasters, now people are stranded. You don't know where to start and how to do it. Then also the issue of relocating as victims. The government should actually sit down and think about it. The way they are doing it is not the right way. We remains to be human beings. And actually, even in the Constitution, there is a part of dignity. And we should also be considered as citizens of this nation. Regardless of us living around the river, we remains to be human beings.
All right, Lucy will help us with that. But before we go, it's Mbali Sana. You've mentioned you're not receiving your 10,000 Kenyan shillings. Why is that so?
I don't know why, because apart from being a flood victim, I'm a community leader. So I'm the one who even took the first data of my village. Yes.
Which village is this? Where were you before?
I was in Madoya village. That's where I've been born. That's where I've been brought up. That's where I am even.
Is Madoya in Nairobi?
Madoya is in Nairobi, in Huruma ward, in Mathare sub-county. It is a village.
All right.
Yes, that is it is almost, you see, the problem is, I can maybe help my sister. When you go to Mathare sub-county, we have 6 wards, and 3 wards are always unique. Kiamaiko ward, Ngei ward, and Huruma ward. At times, we are not seen as if we are in Mathare. So Madoya slums is in Huruma ward, but if you enter in Huruma, you'll meet the big flats, the buildings. So if you walk in Huruma, you won't realize that there is a slum known as Madoya village just beside the river, with more than 10,000, 12,000 people living around.
All right, Lucy, Victor here is saying that the government is not using the right strategies in terms of evacuation for those living in these riparian lands. What do you make of it? What ways should be used?
What I can say is that, you see, the government has a structure in terms of the administration. You have the chief, we have the county commissioners, the district commissioners. So in terms of how this data was collected was actually through the administrations. But I think the better way would be having community engagements, having community participation, because they know who is displaced, they know who. So the community, if they work together with the administration, it's easy then for them to know exactly who has been displaced. That would be maybe the first point they would start off. In terms of the registration that was happening, it was mainly happening at the camps. So all the campsites, we had teams that were actually taking the data. So all I can say is community engagement, ensuring that whether it's Kiamaiko, every ward representative, the small CBOs and the groups that actually target can be able to know who are the targeted IDPs in that area. So then that way, everybody gains and everybody actually is accounted for. So these measures, if the government, the administration would actually work hand in hand with especially the ones who are in charge, let's say, because they know themselves, they know the way they group themselves in the wards, they know the way they group themselves in the Nyumba Kumi, and I believe that the government intervention of the community health promoters was a plus, because they actually had mapped the housing in terms of one community health promoter to 100 households. So if they can pair up with them, I think it will be easier for the government to be able now to know these are the people who are actually needing their financial aid, if there are some who've been left out.
All right.
Yes.
Just hold it at that. We are taking a very short break, but we're coming back to talk about now the support available for those that have been asked to vacate the riparian lands. Let's take this break.
Kila kiongozi ana hadithi yake ya kipekee.
Wazazi wangu walikuwa bit strict kwa sababu mamangu mwenyewe, mimi kutoka kuzaliwa sijailala nje.
The white small one, huyo ana sniff gunpowder na risasi na bomb. Alafu huyo mwingine ni ridgeback ana sniff simba.
Even the employees knows that. So when in the boardroom is the chairman, the CEO, and the rest of.
At what point are you a wife?
The minute you get to that inside that door, you become now the wife.
Na kila maamuzi wanayoyafanya hufichua mengi kuhusu utu wao na uongozi wao.
We see God blessing us, and we now realize the power of giving also has to be rewarded back.
Kupitia kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi, tunakuletea mahojiano ya kusisimua na uchambuzi wa kina kuhusu viongozi wetu.
Pick your core business as the bigger stones. Put them in your diary first. Give priority the bigger things.
Usikose kila Alhamis saa 1:30 jioni.
In a world where challenges are as common as opportunities, there are those who dare to defy the odds. They are the entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurship isn't just about starting a business. It's about embracing uncertainty, pushing boundaries, and turning dreams into reality.
Hata ambao ni pesa ya kusave. Wallahi. Ambao mwaka ni pesa nyingi sana.
As long as you're earning something, there's always that opportunity to save. And you start with where you are.
The way we run the business is in a very unforgiving way, where every team member has to bring out their best.
So, to all the dreamers, innovators, and risk takers out there, remember, being an entrepreneur isn't just a job, it's a way of life. Join the journey. Become an entrepreneur. The Grind, Mondays at 7:30 p.m.
All right, welcome back. You are watching To The Point, and we are talking about behavioral responses in terms of crisis. And that really just takes us to the next clip. I want us to see a certain clip right here on the screen so that we can know what we are dealing with. Nick? All right, that is quite a devastating scene to watch, and I can hear it from the studio, from the gallery side. Even Nick is so surprised. But Victor, what do you make of those clips that we've just watched?
It has reminded me the exact day. It was at 1 early morning when we were rescuing our lives and our sons and daughters. And I remember I was the one raising alarm to my neighbors because I'm almost 130 meters away from the river where I live. Me, I don't live in the 30 meters riparian space. So I slept well, but I found myself in water and not to realize it was not water, it was another river in our plot and another river outside. So I managed at least to rescue many of the children from our households. And after, I went straight to try to rescue our pigs because I'm an outstanding pig farmer as I sit here. So thinking that it was also possible, that's when we realized that it was impossible. We lost all of our pigs and we went to our biogas project at first floor. So that's where we sat while our sons, after we rescued them, and our neighbors, they stood along the road until the morning. Me, when I went back to the pig house, trying to see if I can rescue at least some of the pigs, we realized that it is impossible to rescue the bigger ones. So we only managed to rescue the piglets. And we were throwing them upstairs. So 21 of them were safe. The rest died because we were just throwing them through the window because the levels of the water was here to my neck. So me seeing it, just remembering exactly what happened, and that's how it was. And again, the two Nissans, I don't know where they came. See, we saw two Nissans.
Yes,
two Nissans came. So the Nissan that I saw, I don't know if it is the one, because in our place, they came two Nissans in Madare Getaduro River. We don't know where they came from, but there were 14 two Nissans.
Let's hear from Zulekha. What do you make of those videos that we've watched?
Those videos are just sad memories. Yeah.
Philip?
Yes. The videos,
I can say for me, they remind me of the very night, 24th on a Sunday, when it was a normal night. Like, we know it always rains, but we didn't know it was a different day. The water came in at once and started carrying away like everything. The more you tried, the more the level of water increased. The more you tried to save, until we saw it's like, let's save our lives, and we left everything. So the videos are traumatizing for me.
Sorry about that. You see, for people like now, the three of you, it's so unfortunate that it got you at home. But now, Lucy, usually the DP says, do not dare nature. But from these videos that we've watched, we see that it's clearly a flooded area, but they're driving towards it. We see a motorbike and his passenger going towards the flooded area and falling over. So who is to blame in such a scenario?
First of all, just the idea of going into flooded water is a telltale sign you shouldn't be doing that. Yeah. A lot of times we as human beings tend to ignore directives and warnings. Warnings that are issued in terms of like if you see flooded water, ensure that you can be able to actually walk in. Driving water, don't rush in. So the warnings have been made. But in terms of the way we behave, sometimes we tend to think that we can actually either drive through or wade through. Early warnings have always been given. Especially when the El Nino, the rain started, we would be told that go to higher ground, ensure that you are on higher ground. But in circumstances whereby you are caught up in the waters, ideally, just seeing how much this water is rushing in is enough to tell you don't go there. One or two will dare, and we've seen in footages that we've seen that people have lost life just because of that. Yeah, so I would blame us for not listening or not even seeing. Yeah, and I hope that we can learn from what we are seeing, so that we can be able to stop and prevent more deaths.
That's right.
Yes.
All right, now before we went on that very short break, before those videos caught my eye, we wanted to talk about the support available for these people that have been asked to vacate their riparian lands. And when we were on that very short break, we were having a side discussion, and Victor here was saying that you are privileged enough to have your family hosted somewhere. So what really should be done to have people like Zuleka, like Philip here, maybe who do not have that kind of support, to also just feel like their children are having a safe haven? How did you do yours so that maybe they can pick from it?
First of all, I will say the way the government approaches issues, it's wrong. Maybe to advise the government and also my sister, it is always important to have data. While having data through the chief's office is not straight, and that is the truth. Because you will find that people who have been taken in data through chief's office, most of them are not flood victims. And that is the truth. Why don't we take data through the victims who have been affected through the waters in that particular area, and again, using the same victims to show you the other victims, because in that way it will work. Another thing, it is also important, while we are facing these issues, we realize the difference. You see, there's something called dignity, but there's a law I came to realize just the other day that even for me to be saved or for me to receive this 10,000 Kenya shillings, I had to go to a certain camp and maybe sleep there 3 or 2 days. I'm a community leader. I've done a lot to my community, and I thank God for that. I started by coaching football. I've been a blessing to my community. So it is impossible somebody like me and my own son and daughter live or go to sleep in a camp while those that have been a blessing to them are watching. Them themselves, they said, no, take your children to my house, we will take care. You can sort yourself. On the other side, I can't also still go to camp. I just found myself living in our groups. We have got Madoya, Tumaini community-based organization. They have got a good hall. We have got Uptown Youth Group. They have got a very outstanding hall. So some of us were living in Uptown Youth Group halls. Others were living in Madoya Tumaini's Youth Group hall. Others were living in Pillars Hall. Suddenly, their hall went away. It was washed away, so they had to run out of it. But us, at least, we came to recover. So when we were being told that you have to go to a certain camp or a certain center for you to receive help, now we were asking ourselves, so how do you take your data? Is it a must for someone who is affected to go and live in a camp? Okay, what about if she's not in the camp and she's affected? How then can we reach him or her? So those are the questions that we are asking. That's why I'm sitting here with you. My friends have received 10,000. have not yet received, yet I'm also a victim. So those are the truth. You might even find maybe in those governments' data, my name, Victor Molekojo Odhiambo, is not there. But it was taken through a chief's office.
Lucy.
So surely, what is going on?
Lucy, must they go to the camp? So
I like what he's saying. Him being a community leader. Remember when I mentioned and I said, for the government to make sure that this program is working, engaging community leaders, because it means then the community is protected.
Right.
It's the best way that it's going to work out. You see, the data he has is actually informed data because it's on the ground. But if this community, the way they're working, ensuring that the smoothless data collection is done by the chief and the people who actually lead, because I know in Huruma, Mathare, there's a way that they have a system that they work, and it works very well. So this system for us as St. John's Ambulance, what we have done, we've tried to integrate in the system. How are we supporting in aid? How we are doing it is we are using the ones that are on the ground to know, like you see, to know that they have not received either medical aid or they've not received resources. So yes, we have the chiefs, but we have a backup in terms of the community themselves. So I know that not all of them would have gone to the camp because one, the 4 tents that were set up, they were already full. I know the camps, the main camps have all been closed. And what's happening now is the ones that are at the Huruma ground, that was the Huruma sports ground, those are the ones that are there, and that's where the main data was actually being collected. But currently, I know that there's some who the demolitions are happening, and from where I stand, I may not give a very conclusive answer into how this one is being collected, but in terms of the support we're giving as an organization, that one is getting done using the community leaders. Yes.
Philip.
Yes.
Have your community received any assistance or guidance on where you need to relocate to?
No. And it's so sad that some of us, they moved just from 30 meters and they relocated to the next building. Yesterday, they came and they measured beyond that 30 meters. So you can imagine, your house was demolished, you have tried and relocated to the next building. That one too, it's going to be demolished. Where do they want us to go?
Zuleka, how about your community? Are you receiving any assistance or guidance?
So my thought was, you're relocating me to Huruma Sports Ground. It's not only my community that is being relocated to Huruma Sports Ground. There are a lot of communities, yet diseases are out here. How will we stay under that same place with only mattresses, not even qualified mattresses for kids to sleep on, sleeping next to each other, yet there are other people who have airborne diseases? It's like you are bringing me from a frying pan you're throwing me into the fire. I don't even know how to take it.
To put it. All right.
Because in Huruma grounds, it's just a field, an open field, whereby even when the rains start again, it's going to be flooded again, meaning you have not helped me. If you are to help me, take me to a place where I feel I'm safe. I'm already traumatized.
All right, Lucy, so many questions here that are quite hard to answer.
Yeah.
But now, these people have been put to be living in high-risk areas. But now, what really transforms, what really puts to the table now? Why don't they, I understand, apart from now not being able to afford these other areas, what are other factors that are making it so hard for people living in high-risk areas to move?
Familiarity. when you're used to a certain kind of environment and you're used to a certain kind of way of living, it's very hard for you to move from point where to where you're being taken, and it's quite understandable. When you hear how they're talking right now, they actually have been affected in terms of the phobia, what they saw, and where they were being moved to. I must say there were very many camps, but because of the schools, they had to close them. But right now what is happening is that the churches are also supporting where these victims are going to be housed. So I know where they are right now, that at Huruma grounds was quite small for all of them to fit in. But I think what they're saying is wherever they are right now is comfortable for now, but they will eventually need to move. And what has happened is unfortunate. What they're going through is quite unfortunate. But I know we need a long-term solution in where they're going to stay. And I think what has been said is where they're going to be moved is somewhere is being looked into. From where I sit, what I can say in terms of mitigation is it started. I know she's mentioned about the diseases, and this, I believe the interventions, and that's why we are saying the medical camps that we are doing is also supporting the government approach of whereby wellness of every displaced person is actually being catered for.
All right, Philip, now as we wind up, what are your hopes or concerns for the future? What are your hopes and concerns for the future in regards to this crisis that you're currently now facing?
My hopes are everything will be fine. Those are my hopes, that one day I'll get back to my feet and accept. For now, I've not accepted, but at least I'm trying to accept.
Zuleka?
My hopes are that the government will come through. I once lived near the river. You relocated me from the river. That river, you say you want to plant trees near the river. Why not give the youths the chance to plant those trees and take care of them? I'm speaking upon me and other youths out there. Out here, youths are getting out of jail, thinking that where they're going to find a suitable place to change from what they were before. But coming out here and finding that there's nothing to do, we hear gunshots again, of which gunshots they had reduced. We had no more youths being killed because they robbed, because of the groups. That 30 meters that you're taking away, calling it a riparian space, why not give the youth to have projects upon that land? They won't be living there. So, to my side, the help should come from the government. Without them, we'll have very many youths, of which we still have very many youths who don't have job opportunities. But those who had tried and created job opportunities for themselves by maybe having vertical farming, like us, we had vertical farming. We had pigs. But them demolishing where the pigs were staying, the pig style was, it's like they're bringing us back to zero. They're telling us, go back to robbery. Or they're not giving us any hope. So I'm calling upon the government to look at the youths. Because if they don't, there'll be no future for the youths.
All right. Victor, what are your hopes and concerns for the future?
I have a lot of hopes. One, life has to continue regardless of the challenges, but I will speak straight to NRC. We have something called Nairobi River Commission. They should know that we had already started good works along the river. Personally, I'm engaged in Nairobi River Rehabilitation and Nairobi River Restoration and Nairobi River Adoption. We have Muungano wa Wanavijiji, which is a movement that we normally work together, all of us living in informal settlements, being helped by SDI Kenya. Actually, we have done a lot when it comes to climate actions. Some of us, we have more than 100 registered youth groups and community-based organizations groups that have done a lot. We have an example of Madhya Tumaini. We have an example of Pillars, community-based organization. We have an example of Getaduro. We have an example of urban growers in Lakisama. We have an example of Green Oasis in Babadogo. We have an example of Comp Green Solutions in Korokocho. Actually, it is my desire to see the good things that we started doing along the river. And again, we were doing an advocacy while protecting our river. You know, in Nairobi County, we dump our waste into the river. We had started the conversation, but now, because of the demolitions and everything that is happening, you find that our community members, our youth groups who are engaged in waste management, they are now losing hope and saying that let's now go back to dump into the river, which is not the way to go. So I'm calling upon Nairobi River Commission. It's a commission that is there, being appointed by the president. So they should come and actually think and engage us at the community level. All the youth groups, we have got a good data at SDI Kenya, Muungano wa Wanavijiji. They have been doing a lot to us. And also you asked about, did we receive any support? We received food stuff from SDI Kenya, Muungano wa Wanavijiji. We received foodstuffs from Tangaza University College. We have received foodstuffs again from Mathare Social Justice. Actually, they have done good. They have reached to us, and we really appreciate. But we really need a lot of help. Above all, we need a good structure in terms of after demolitions, we want to adopt the river. We want to stop illegal dumping into the river. How are we going to do it? It is by engaging the community-based organization and the youth groups that had already started championing the good works when it comes to environmental conservation and proper waste management, actually in a good way. And that message, I would like it to reach NRC, Nairobi River Commission. We are watching over you. We started, but we are watching over you.
All right, it has, and it will definitely reach them. Now Lucy, much has been said and done. What is your parting shot?
Parting shot, what I can say is having an integrated approach whereby we have more experts coming in terms of supporting what is actually being done by the good work, the teams, the CBUs, and everyone that's been supporting the teams. That would be a plus. But what I would also advise councillors, because I know that people are hurting, there's a lot they've gone through, and especially the young children. I know that the young mothers, some of them have missed their clinics. Some of them, we are supporting them as an organization in terms of helping in the medical camps. So, and they're newborns, very young ones. So what I can say is if we all came together, the goodwill that we have as a country, I know Kenyans, we've been known to work together, especially when it comes to helping out. If we can come in and do that, I believe as a country we are good.
All right. Thank you so much, Lucy, for being so brief. Now that brings us to the end of To The Point. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for making time for us. This is a very wide conversation, and I know we cannot really just say everything here. So we will be bringing you guys back as we keep an eye on the floods watching the country, and to also tell the country what is going on this side. Thank you so much, our dear viewer, for staying with us. That brings us to the end of this discussion. Do have a good night. My name is Anne Odida, and see you next week.